Hey guys, my name is Rebecca. Welcome back. This is my Bexa Boss Lady channel. And today I want to talk to you about opening a case as a buyer on Poshmark. Now, I have been selling on Poshmark for many years. I think this last case that I just opened was maybe my third, and I buy a lot on Poshmark. So I have been fortunate to have pretty good experiences overall with buying on Poshmark. Now, I know many of you have had terrible experiences, terrible buyers. You know, Poshmark has the worst customer service possible for how much money they bring in. And there are a few things that I think as a buyer, you can do to help your case. So in my situation, I bought a pair of shoes. It had 4 photos. They looked bright. They looked like they were kind of covering everything in the photos. And then she shipped them right away. And then when I got them, there was, a couple threads loose on the actual leather, on the suede. There were a lot more marks on the teal suede than were shown in the photos. I don't know if they were edited or it was just the lighting, but they did not arrive in the condition that was presented in the listing. And I am not very picky. So if something smells, I try to wash it. If there's a little thing or a couple hairs or whatever, I will wash it and pick them off or whatever. I really am not a particular buyer when it comes to nitpicking things because I know I'm buying used items. But there is a time when things are misrepresented that you should open a case. I don't think personally that smells or, unfortunately dog hair, cat hair is gross, but, it can be picked off and washed. You can leave a bad review for that. Shipping time right now is awful because the post office is so overwhelmed and understaffed that they're really struggling to get these packages out to people. So, right now, give people kind of a break on ship time, especially if it's actually been scanned. It's not really their fault if it's been scanned and it's taking 8 days to get to you. That's the post office. So, I'm not going to open a case because of that. I've seen a lot of crazy reasons people open cases on Facebook groups. And to be honest, to me, opening a case is the reason to open a case is because the item is not that was described in the listing. So the shoes that I bought were not as described. I opened a case showing clear photos of the difference between what the actual shoe looked like versus her listing. So my very first tip to you is anything that is different from the listing, take very clear photos. I've had people as buyers from me open cases and they take pictures like in a cave with bears hibernating. There's the photos are horrible. They're not clear. You can't even see what they're looking at, or the photos aren't of what people are actually complaining about. So you take very clear photos. That's the first thing. You want to make sure that any photos you take when you open a case are very clear and show very clearly why you're opening that case. So that's number one. The second thing is to take all emotions out of this process, because if you get emotional and get really upset, people sent you crappy stuff, or they didn't send you what you thought, or it wasn't the right item, immediately the buyer gets defensive or the seller gets defensive, and it just kind of ends up in a verbal boxing match in the case review. So I simply state that I bought these shoes with the understanding that they were in X, Y, and Z condition. The noted flaws were pretty major to not be noted in the description, or to have very clear photos of those flaws taken in the photos. So she had pictures of the shoes in the listing, but they were just so, I don't think maybe she did it on purpose, but they were just positioned enough where you couldn't see the exact issues that were going on, and it wasn't in the description. So if you take pictures of something and you're like, oh, there's a flaw, get a clear picture of that, because that helps your case to be able to say, yes, this was shown very clearly in the pictures. The issues that I had with the items were not shown very clearly in the photos. So that was the second thing, is that I very clearly described in detailed, matter-of-fact terms that this is what happened. So the buyer writes back, seller writes back and says, you bought these, they're exactly how I sent them, and then she uploaded pictures that were just zoomed in screenshots that were very blurry of what I said was wrong with the shoe that she claims was in the photo, which you couldn't even see. And then she never responded to the case. So I simply wrote that, yes, I understood that there were some flaws in these shoes, and I purchased them knowing what those flaws were. However, there were additional flaws that were shown in these shoes that were not shown or written in the description. And Poshmark approved my case within 12 hours. I mean, it was approved immediately. And part of me feels that, like, one, I don't open cases, and I know that they probably track to see if people are constantly opening cases, if they're having issues with people. So I, don't open a lot of cases. Number two, I was very clear and concise in what I put in that description of why I was opening the case. I didn't get emotional. I didn't start accusing the seller of faking things or lying about the listing or, editing them so they didn't look. I just very clearly stated what was wrong with the item. And third is I just left it up to Poshmark to finish the process, because if that seller would have started, getting nasty with me, I just would have kept repeating the same thing. And finally, if you can find let's see, how do I want to phrase this? If you can find in the Poshmark parameters and guidelines from their actual website something that can help your case, then that will definitely go into play in your favor as a buyer. I'm trying to think of an example here. So, if it's something where, let's give an example. So, let's say you're a buyer and you bought makeup, you bought an eyeshadow palette, and it was said to be new, and you get it, and there clearly was either used or it was swabbed or something was wrong with it. You can quote the Poshmark policy prohibiting used cosmetics from being sold on the platform in your description of the case. And that also allows the customer service representative, whoever Jill is and wherever she is, know that is legitimately Poshmark's policy, right down to the quoting it word from word from their website. So if you can do all of these things and tie all of these pieces together, I think you as a buyer can make a strong case for a return. Now, obviously, it's subjective. It's based on these random customer support people's, split second decision, because I'm sure they're approving or denying hundreds of these a day. But to me, that is the best way as a buyer to make sure that you are getting your point across and you're getting very clear information to the representative for this return. And then finally, if your return was approved, make sure that you are using the label and shipping it back within a couple days, because the worst thing you want to do is get this approved return, then you forget to ship it back and you're stuck with it. Or if it's not approved, relist it, take pictures of it, try to recoup your money, and just chalk it up as next time you will look at the bigger picture, look at the photos better, maybe ask different questions, and chalk it up to a learning experience. So I hope this video helps you as a buyer on Poshmark, and I'll also be doing a video for sellers and cases. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and obviously subscribe to my channel, because I would love to see you back again. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.